Teachers of Reddit, what's something you overheard, but you wish you didn't? My friend teaches at a Catholic middle school. He said he once overheard a girl telling her friends she intended to pretend to be pregnant in order to keep her boyfriend from breaking up with her. When he asked her where she got such a manipulative idea, she said, "It worked for my mom." In high school biology class we received an unexpected closed-door lecture after a teacher overheard conversation in the hall. Someone had stolen one of their mom's birth control pills and thought that would be all she needed to prevent pregnancy. The teacher had been an EMT in a city at some point, and I'm sure I sat there wide-eyed. She even talked about coat hanger abortions and the possible results. We could ask any questions. Learned a lot that day. I worked with middle schoolers for exactly 1 year. When the 11-year-old yelled, "Eat the booty like groceries," when I asked him what his favorite food was, I knew that middle school wasn't for me. I guess it isn't that I overheard it, but I really like to keep up with the kids' personal lives. Over the years they grow to trust me, and every once in a while, a student drops a huge bomb on me that makes me feel quite helpless for a while. Things like, my parents are getting divorced this week and neither one wants me, or my sister got killed trying to stop a fight, or I hate my friends, and I hate myself for liking them. But I don't want to be alone. I do my best for them. My mom says I'm too stupid to spell. I was helping one of my first graders catch up on a spelling test. He was one of my problem kids, but I always spent extra time helping him out because I used to be one too. On this particular day he was getting really worked up. I finally flipped the test over and had the worst conversation. "Kid, I can't do this. I'm too stupid." "Me, you can too do this. I know you can. Let's spell it out really slowly together." "Kid, no, I can't. I'm an idiot." "Me, name. Why are you saying that? Who told you that?" "Kid, my mom says I'm too stupid to spell." "Me, that's not true. We are friends." "Yeah?" "Kid, best friends." "Me, okay, then you know I won't lie to you. You are one of the smartest kids I know. What else does your mom say?" And that's how I found out a 7-year-old boy was being physically and emotionally abused. I reported it, but left the school before I found out what came of it. I had a high school senior come to school in the morning straight from the club, still all glitter covered, and in a mostly unbuttoned button down. Except it wasn't totally straight from the club. He let it slip that he had gone home with a woman in her 40s at 5 in the morning and stayed long enough for her to make her kids and me breakfast. Hey, at least he still made it to class. Gotta set a good example for the ladies' kids. Not a teacher, but in high school was telling a buddy of mine I hate math and that I'm just going to be a porn star. Teacher heard me and she looked over and said, "You're going to starve." I replied, "I'll have plenty to eat on the job." She laughed but probably wished she never heard it. The building in the school in which I taught had only one staff toilet, so if it was occupied we had to use the student toilets. In one such instance, I'm in my cubicle when a student walks into the loo room and into another cubicle. What I heard next was the most awful sounding dump, but not too out of the ordinary. It's what he said whilst doing it that shook me up. Screaming as if in pain, he shouted things to the effect of, "Jesus Christ, I deserve this torment. Punish me for my sins. Punish me for my salvation. I bear pain in your name." And other fucked up religious stuff. No idea what was going on. It didn't sound like a kink from the tone. But I remember thinking that, if we ever had a school shooting, there was no doubt it would be that guy. Like and subscribe for more Reddit videos. What's the nicest thing you've done for someone without them knowing you did it? Had a friend who got super drunk, partially naked, and extremely loose-lipped during a party. She started talking about her dead daddy issues. It was humiliating enough for her in the moment, but I noticed one guy and his buddies trying to film her as well. So I sidled up to them later and then flirted my way into borrowing his phone. Subtlety isn't usually my MO, but I didn't want to risk it. Deleted all 6 videos the shit stain had recorded on there and then fucked off with my passed out friend and one other to help carry her both in tow before he had the chance to realize what was up. She woke up the next morning and had zero recollection of the preceding night. I did not mention it to her. A few years back under President Obama we had a really long government shutdown. One of my friends had just started a new government contract after months of unemployment. Another had just put down on a house after landing a great paying government job. And then the work and pay was just gone. And it stayed gone for a long time. I'm not rich, but I at least had a paycheck. I anonymously sent them each a $300 grocery store gift card. It came to more than a month's rent for me, but I wanted to do something to help, and I wanted to do it in a way that they would never feel a pressure to pay it back. It seems to have worked. I had a friend send them from another state while traveling, so they had no way to trace it back to me. I used to be a probation and parole agent. I had no any people on my caseload. If they were cool, not assholes, reporting and their house was in order and they were working and trying and whatnot, they got special treatment. Part of my weekly checks involved checking what their supervision fees and court fees looked like. I didn't care about court fines, so I would usually have them sign paperwork that I just wouldn't explain to have them restructured. I did the same with supervision fees. The supervision fees were $50 a month. For some of these people they didn't report every month, so every time they reported, like every 3 months, that's $150 that they were behind. Some of these people that's actually a lot of money, so I just would restructure it without them knowing. I had one girl that was busting her ass working the program. Then she was like, oh my god, and Agent Citadel, I haven't paid my supervision fees in like a year. Court fines either. I'm probably behind $600. You're going to lock me up over that one of these days. I was an absolute hard ass on people, but I do have a lot of respect for someone that's busting their ass and trying their best. So I explained to her that I've been periodically wiping her arrearage away. My logic was I wanted her focusing on paying her drug rehab fees and not worrying about the other small shit. She cried and cried in the office. Agent Citadel, they always say you only care about the money, but you actually care about us. All that through huge boohoo's. I don't know if it would be considered nice, since it involves me sort of manipulating situations involving others, but as a freshman in college a little while back one of my friends liked this girl that would come to our dorm lobby and hang with her friend that lived there. He never told anyone and no one really picked it up out of my friend group except for me, so I figured I'd help him out knowing that he would be too shy and passive to initiate or realize his feelings. So I successfully socially engineered, which I've tried many times before but failed drastically, a situation in where they both started to talk with one another on a more personal level. The feelings were there for both of them. I just gave them the push and now both are in a relationship and are extremely happy with each other. The story and details are quite long so won't be including them. TLDR, got 2 of my friends to act on their feelings for each other and are now in a happy relationship. I remember a poor kid that always used to go to my school. His uniform was from either the lost and found or donations, and he used to always wear hand-me-down footwear. The first year I met him, I found he didn't have recess or lunch for the first half of the year because his parents were still trying to recover from paying for school. The next year, I covered him with recess and lunch for 2 terms by leaving him something from the canteen on his table before school. I used to write in cursive, and nobody knew my print handwriting, so I also left him a note asking want anything specific, and left a little writing space for him. I also gave him a pencil case full of stuff because the teachers gave us a pencil and an eraser and nothing else. It was actually last year, writing a final in uni, was quickly reviewing notes, when this student comes in, hasn't been in class the whole semester due to him being really ill. He sits behind me, and it's safe to say he looked totally unprepared. Our professor announced to put our notes away. I placed my notebook under my seat in a way that he could clearly see the notebook. After the professor passed out the tests, I accidentally kicked my notebook open which showed all the necessary formulas etc. to do the tasks. I even caught him peeking when I was looking back at the classroom clock. A week later our professor announced the grades. He got a B+, and I got an A. He looked real happy. Saw a car with a ticket at my college campus. I really hated the security guards there that gave them, because they were super anal about everything, were dressed exactly like cops, so you wouldn't know the difference if you didn't check, and they were generally assholes. So I slipped some cash into the ticket envelope and a note saying I hope they had a good day. Basically helped someone who was bound to have a rough day, and got revenge on the asshole security guards I hated. I had a vendetta with a parking enforcement person in college. I caught them mid-writing me a ticket for parking slightly in front of the part of the road that curves up into a driveway of the house I was renting, not obstructing in the slightest. I try to plead my case and they won't hear it. I had a schedule that left wide gaps in the middle of the day/peak ticketing time. I figured out when they'd go down my street and mark tires with chalk. They then return 2 hours later and ticket anyone who's still there with chalk marks. I'd follow them maybe a block back with a wet paper towel and erase the chalk marks. I think I cost the city thousands in potential parking tickets, much more than they got from my original fine. Fuck parking enforcement.